Story 1: Owning a horse. The number of people who buy a horse with little knowledge of what it actually takes to properly care for a horse is astounding, and how much money it costs. It's never ending. All the time, we see someone who buys a horse, and after a year they realize how much work and money it takes, then try to sell a horse who no longer has the proper training and manners because the owner didn't know enough to keep up. So they are now selling the horse at often a huge loss to someone who has to start from scratch with the horse. It's simply not fair to the animal. Story 2: Subsistence farming. It is a living condition that generations of people would do anything to escape from. Sure, it can be nice to have a small garden of your own. It's a fun hobby, good for your mental health, and it's rewarding to eat something you have grown yourself, for sure. But you do not want to depend on the land for all or even a sizable chunk of your calories and nutrients. It's brutal, grueling, body-destroying work, and if anything goes wrong, you are absolutely in trouble. Story 3: Stuff like constant drama, jealousy, or emotional roller coasters gets framed as being part of some deep love story. But in reality, it's just exhausting and unhealthy. Story 4: Mental health issues. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is not a fun, quirky part of a person's personality. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is not just being unable to focus. It is not a childhood condition. It is a disorder that impacts every aspect of life from the moment you wake up until you attempt to turn off your brain and go to sleep. Story 5: The whole hustle culture thing is like everyone is out here romanticizing grinding 24/7, working yourself into the ground, and acting like burnout is some kind of badge of honor. Story 6: I wish teenage girls on Instagram would stop begging for actual convicted murderers to be released every time one of them vaguely resembles an actor they like. Story 7: Mental illness in general and the concept of the tortured artist in particular. It is a severe problem that requires attention and appropriate treatment. It is neither glamorous nor pleasant. Story 8: Eating disorder, specifically anorexia. People often imagine a skinny, beautiful woman, but no one imagines a weak, frail, extremely underweight woman whose hair is falling out, with cracked nails and sunken eyes. Story 9: Being broken or having trauma. It feels like people find it trendy to be broken in some way. This leads to toxic relationships that are also romanticized. You should not be proud of the fact that you and your partner fight intensely every other day, but the love is just so real. No, you are broken and you need to deal with your traumas. Story 10: I might get hate for this, but the military and war. There are so many people in tap-out shirts that talk about how they would have served, but it's really annoying. Story 11: I wish people would stop romanticizing toxic and complicated relationships as if they are passionate or thrilling. Terms like situationships, on again, off again, or friends with benefits get thrown around like they are trendy, but they often just lead to confusion, frustration, and wasted time. Real love and healthy relationships do not need all that drama. They are not boring. They are just stable and fulfilling. Story 12: Poverty. Nobody, and I mean nobody, finds nobility in being poor. They work hard because they have to. Also, most of the people who go into crime do it because they have nothing else. Story 13: Certain dog breeds. Many people get these dogs that have intense exercise and mental stimulation needs that they are not equipped to provide, such as huskies and border collies, or dogs that are bred in ways that result in health issues like pugs and French bulldogs, just because they are so cute. Getting a dog simply because of the way it looks and not doing any research about the breed is setting the dog and yourself up for failure. Story 14: The film industry in Hollywood. Nothing like billionaires in mega mansions living a few miles from homeless veterans that says the American dream, right? Story 15: Refusing to take no or not interested as an answer and continuing to persist until a person relents. This is not romance. This is possessive, controlling, and intimidating. Saying boys will be boys as a form of tolerance and acceptance of bad behavior. Saying people tease or make fun of others they fancy. No, it's mean. Story 16: Work is something you must find passion in. If you love your job, you will never work a day in your life. Let's find it acceptable that it's good to have a job that you relatively like and that puts food on the table. I encounter a lot of young people who feel disenchanted and wonder what is wrong with themselves if they don't have or lose passion for their job. Story 17. Parenthood. It's not for everyone. It changes your whole life. It's one of the biggest life challenges. It should be carefully considered. Children are not accessories but real humans. Childbirth can kill a woman or leave lasting body changes or disabilities. Story 18. Romanticizing is probably the wrong description for people who post funny or cute pictures of animals where the owner is actually being really cruel. Forcing animals' faces into colorful fruit and dragging their faces to the camera to scold them for Reddit likes is cruelty. Holding up a tiny kitten in a really uncomfortable way is not cute. It is abuse. Story 19. Tradwives and the traditional life. That is the 1950s capitalist fantasy of a man working a 9-to-5 job while his wife breezily did housework and childcare in her finest dresses. No housewife can do that. Mental illness and disability never present in a manic pixie dream girl or anime cute way and impact life far more than that. It's not some cute quirk to have a mental illness. Story 20. Obsessive-compulsive disorder/obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. It's not funny. It's not quirky. I can't just not worry about it. I've stripped my life nearly bare, and the stress is still all I can handle most of the time. Story 21. Serial killers in any way, shape, or form should not be highlighted in the mainstream news cycle or media. This includes anything from shows like the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix to reporting on school shootings. By avoiding this, I assure you that there would be fewer serial killers. They are not public figures to be idolized. They are scum who deserve no respect. Story 22. Abuse, physical and mental, stalking, narcissistic behavior, gaslighting. This has been romanticized in many ways. Honestly, there's no way we can fix that. Who knows if a really great therapist can even. Story 23. Selflessness is not the ultimate virtue. I repeat, selflessness is not the ultimate virtue. You are doing nobody a favor by neglecting your own needs and desires and avoiding conflict categorically. Story 24. Jealousy. People think it is so great to have someone get jealous over them. It is made out to be the ultimate love. It is not. It is not love at all. It is a red flag, and there is nothing sweet, cute, or affectionate about it at all. If the other person is jealous, get out of the relationship now. It will get worse. Story 25. I wish people would stop romanticizing toxic relationships thinking that love will fix everything. True love is based on mutual respect and support, not on suffering or sacrifice. Story 26. Stop romanticizing trauma. So many therapists these days are grooming people to be hyperfixated on it. While I agree that it gets overlooked, it's also not the entirety of someone's being or an identity trait. Story 27. Drugs and alcohol. Sure, a handful of creative people used them and became famous, but to what avail? Short, miserable lives, broken families, ill health. Story 28. Prepping. So many people think they are serious, but they are not. For many, their plan is to leave the city, escape to the country, and offer their inexperienced labor to a kindly welcoming farmer who needs extra hands to bring in the crop. Story 29. Farming. I get it. Gardening is fun, and you love your build-it-yourself kit chicken coop. But large-scale farming is work, and it's ugly. It's not all cute, fluffy baby chicks and picking tomatoes. One bad season, and it's years of trying to catch up. Story 30. Most of these women tolerate much more sexist nonsense from their traditional husbands than my grandma did as an actual 1950s housewife. To be clear, I don't mean someone who simply chooses to stay at home and raise their kids. I mean an 18-year-old who believes that getting married straight from high school is the ideal path for all women. She imagines it's an early retirement filled with sundresses and clean organic foods without any baby vomit stains. She believes her much older true love would never harm her as soon as his mood changes. Even in a religious context, you don't have to be a doormat for men. The nuns who ran their own Bible-making shops and Joan of Arc come to mind. Story 31. Jealousy. It's not cute, it's not something anyone should want to feel, and it's honestly a problem. People even think that's a sign of true love. Honorable mention, the 1920s in America. Story 32. The good old South/Confederacy. Nothing romantic about a livelihood provided by enslaving others and barely providing them a livelihood. Children as young as 4 working from sun up to sundown in the hot sun and cold winters. Parents sold away from their children, experiencing rape, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual abuse. Story 33. Autism. This affliction has totally destroyed my life and everything I had been working for. I have 4 kids and they all have it. There is nothing romantic about not playing with toys, not having hobbies, not speaking at the age of 5, or not being toilet trained at that age either. Story 34. Cheating. Hear me out. Some people post on Reddit and use romanticized language about their affair or getting caught to try to make people feel bad for them. No accountability. You are a bad person. Stop trying to get people on your side. Story 35. Japan is a great place to visit, but living there can be challenging. The xenophobia is significant, and the work-life balance is quite stressful. You might wonder why anime often focuses on high school years. It's because that is the last time they have freedom, friends, and optimism before entering a demanding work life. Story 36. Miracle baby stories are prevalent in the media. People magazine is notorious for them, but you see these stories everywhere. Born at 24 weeks and just graduated college. In reality, such outcomes are very rare. Statistically, the overwhelming majority of extremely premature babies have health issues, including vision and hearing loss, developmental challenges, breathing and lung issues, digestive issues, heart issues, and more. Many require skilled nursing care for years or even for life, and many others need additional surgeries that financially strain families and marriages. This creates immense pressure on parents who are in a panic upon learning their fetus is in distress and are asked if they want to save it. What parents say no. Yet, they aren't able to process what the quality of life and outcome will likely be, and whether they are prepared to upend their entire lives and their existing children's to care full-time for an incapacitated child. I think it's cruel. We need to normalize parents letting go of extremely premature babies, to destigmatize not telling doctors to do everything to save them, when it's so uncommon to have a perfect outcome that social media and magazines like to showcase. Just as most doctors don't want to be resuscitated if they stop breathing after a certain age because it breaks all your ribs and the rate of death afterward remains very high, those who work with children that I've talked to wouldn't ask for extraordinary measures to save an extremely premature baby, especially if they have any complicating factors like a genetic mutation. Let's be clear. The question is, what should we stop romanticizing? I'm not advocating for outlawing the saving of these fetuses that are on the edge of viability, but we need to be more compassionate with parents facing what is essentially a miscarriage and being asked, with no preparation and no time to think what they want to do, with their heads full only of hope from all the stories that convince them it will be just fine because babies are born this early all the time and they're just fine. It's taking a tragedy and piling a lifelong burden on top of it, affecting everyone in that family. We should be more mindful and supportive of parents, and normalizing talking about and showing the typical outcome rather than the exception is the best way to do that. Story 37. Grind culture at work. It doesn't make you look like a hero. It subtly makes you look like you dislike your life outside of work. Just go home. Work doesn't care about you the way you think it does. Story 38. Snipers. I don't know why people think there's something so incredibly cool about murdering a person from far away who can't even see you, let alone fight back. Story 39. Autism. Have you ever tried to live with one of us? We do not stop talking and pace around the house. Occasionally, we will do a dish or two if we happen to walk by the sink and complain while doing the dishes. Then it's off to another room of the house. Maybe we will bring you a bottle of water if we remember or feel like it. Story 40. 6 feet, 6-pack, 6 figures. Men are selling other men this nonsense. While some women may want those things, it is not the standard. Attraction ebbs and flows based on how you act, your empathy, integrity, kindness, confidence, and humor. If you take care of yourself by going to the doctor and dentist, keeping your house tidy and comfortable, and having emotional intelligence, you'll go much further than some finance gym bro with the personality of a used toothpick. If you believe the 666 mantra and don't fit any of those, you are a self-fulfilling prophecy of your own doing. We can pick up on insecurity and anger. Stop listening to what men tell you women want and, I don't know, listen to your target audience. Story 41. Being a scam artist. The number of people I see brag about having no skills and instead making most of their money from scamming others through cryptocurrency, self-help classes, or dropshipping is unreal. Story 42. Drugs, cigarettes, and alcohol. It's so romanticized and normalized that it's ridiculous. Every movie, book, almost everywhere you can see it. It's everywhere. It got to the point where not drinking alcohol, smoking, or taking drugs is seen as something bizarre. Story 43. Relationships. My friends who are married or in long-term relationships seem like they would honestly be happier on their own. They love their spouse, but they are kind of miserable in their day-to-day lives. Story 44. Your ex dying. My husband died before we made it to divorce. There was no way we would be getting back together, but we were not officially divorced when he died. I had people tell me that they wish their ex would die too. No, you don't. I have felt every emotion that humans can feel about his death, and I'm exhausted. I'm going to have to carry this grief around forever. It will get lighter, but it's never ever going to go away. Grief is just love when the person is no longer alive. I might not have wanted to be with him anymore, but there was always a part of me that would love him. If you want your ex to die, then maybe you just never loved them in the first place, I guess.